Hey guys, welcome back to another Mishmas video. We've got a bonus video for you today. We are going to be talking about the brand new Charlotte Tilbury Rebel Quad, and we're going to be doing some swatches. I'm going to be doing some comparison swatches to the mini Natasha Denona Gold palette because that is probably the only one that's kind of even similar in my collection to this quad. I'll be showing you comparisons to that, and then we'll be doing a demo of this eye look at the end of the video. So I'll have timestamps down below in my description box. Definitely check that out if you're only interested in like swatches or whatever. You can just fast forward to that section. So Charlotte Tilbury has recently come out with two new quads, or reimagined at least for this new Rebel quad. So she had an existing the Rebel quad in her line, and it was like brighter, kind of like emerald toned greens. She kind of discontinued that one, and then she's re-released the Rebel quad in this green color story, which is a lot more yellow toned, a lot warmer with a lot more of like a brown kind of like tone to it, brown gold tone to it. And I think it's great. As much as I liked her Rebel quad, I think this one is just a little bit more on trend, at least for now, and a little bit more wearable because I find this one to be like a play on like a neutral brown kind of eyeshadow palette. It's like a tinted green version of a neutral brown eyeshadow palette. So why don't I go ahead and give you some swatches of these four shades in here, and I'm gonna go like clockwise from the upper left-hand corner here. So we're gonna go from the Prime, the Enhance, the Smoke, and then the Pop shade. So you'll see here in my swatches that all of the shades here have a little bit of shine to them. The first two shades have a satin finish. The third shade, the Smoke shade, has like little micro glitters in there. And then the number 4 Pop shade, which is very interesting, it's almost like a combination of those two different finishes. It has like a satin base, but there are like little micro glitters in there. So it's different for Charlotte Tilbury in terms of her pop shades. Her pop shades are usually like very glittery, a little bit sheer, and they act as like a really nice topper. So this one is definitely different. It's less sheer than the other ones, but it's also less shiny and less glittery than the other ones. So I like it. It's just different. It's different from what I was expecting, and it's different from her other quads. The first two shades, the Prime and the Enhanced shades, those are very pigmented, as you can see on my lids. The Prime, very yellow gold. You'll see in my demo that it didn't take a lot to build up at all. It was just like swipe, swipe, and it was on. The Enhanced shade really surprised me. I dipped my brush in, I started to like lay it down on my lid, and it was like instant pigmentation. Now, I like Charlotte Tilbury quads, but I find this one to be a lot more pigmented than most of the quads that I've experienced from Charlotte Tilbury. Then this one, this number 3 Smoke shade, it's, you know, actually when I see it in the viewfinder, it does look a little bit more brown than I feel like I'm interpreting it looking at it in real life. I thought it was just going to be like a micro glittery version of this Enhanced shade, but it actually has a lot of deep brown undertones in there. So it really is a great like smoke shade, literal like smoke shade. So I have that along my lash line, and I used it just to kind of, you know, enhance the number 2 shade over here. Just kind of added it. Any kind of like brown that you see is that number 3 shade. And then the number 4 shade, which is the Pop shade, I just used a little bit of it on my fingertips and kind of tapped it on my lid because I wasn't sure what was going to happen with this. Again, I thought it was going to be a lot more glittery, which it isn't. And I just kind of tapped it on top. And in terms of a topper, it's okay. It made the gold shade a little bit more green, which was nice. I think it helped kind of like blend those two shades together, but it doesn't have that like typical topper shade to it where I would use it in that way. I think I would actually incorporate it into the look versus using it as a topper. So I am very, very impressed with this quad. I really, really adore it. I'm so glad that this quad is different from like the kind of pillow talk tones that we've been seeing a lot, whether they've been in big eyeshadow palettes or her smaller ones, or whatever the case may be. I'm just so happy that this came out and is different from what she's been doing and different from what exists in her line. So let me quickly show you some comparison swatches of this quad to the 5 shades in the Natasha Denona Mini Gold palette. I'll swatch these 4 first on the left, and then you'll see the Natasha Denona 5 shades over here on the right. And I guess you could say the color story is a little bit similar, but I find the undertones to be quite different. The undertones of the Natasha Denona Mini Gold is a little bit more gold. It's a little bit more mustardy, while the undertones of this Charlotte Tilbury quad is much more brown. It's much more neutral. I personally like the Charlotte Tilbury quad a lot more. I find the tones to be a little bit more easy to work with, and I find the formula much easier to blend. I like the looks that I've come up with using the Natasha Denona Mini Gold palette, but I do find like that matte olive shade to be just, it takes a little bit of work. It takes a little bit of work to make it kind of like smooth and not patchy, and you know, you kind of have to build that up very slowly. So I just find the Charlotte Tilbury to be just such an easy palette to use to create like a greenish golden look. And you'll see it in my demo. It's like super fast. So anyway, I love this quad, and let's go ahead and jump into the demo. Okay, let's start with the prime shade, and that's this gold one in the upper left-hand corner. I've got my Sonia G Worker 1 brush. I'm just gonna go right into that shade there, knock off any excess, and swipe that from the inner corner over the center of my lid. Next, I'm going to take my Esom S33 brush and go into the, what does she call this? The number 2, the Enhance shade. That's this guy right up here. And I'm going to apply this to the outer corner of my lid and drag that over the first prime shade and kind of blend the two together. And then kind of blend it into my socket line area. Next, I've got my Sonia G Pencil 2 brush, and I'm going to grab the number 3 color here, the smoke color, and just kind of accent everything, drag it along my lash line, maybe add a little bit to the outer corner, and just really kind of smoke everything out with this color. And then I'm going to drag it along my lower lash line. And then I'm going to grab my clean Esom G34 brush and just drag that along all the edges. I like to use this brush clean to kind of, you know, soften everything up. And then lastly, I'm going to take the Pop shade, this one over here. I'm going to use my finger, my ring finger. I'm going to add this right on top here. It's very subtle, but it gives a little bit more of like a green sheen to everything. And so it's great in helping like these two shades actually kind of blend together, which is nice. All right, I'm just gonna add some mascara and I'll be right back. I wasn't gonna add any eyeliner, but I do think this would be a nice time to use the Victoria Beckham bronze eyeliner. So I'm gonna apply some of this to my waterline and my upper lash line. So here is my final look. You guys heard all of my thoughts about this at the beginning of the video. I hope you enjoyed this look. I think this is a wonderful, wonderful quad. I feel like Charlotte Tilbury has kind of, not that she's needed to like redeem herself in my eyes, but I feel like a lot of her recent releases have been, I don't know, a little lackluster, a little safe, a little boring. And this quad, oh, I just absolutely love it. So let me know your thoughts down below in the comments section. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Subscribe down below if you haven't already, and I'll see you in my next video.